Ooh, we are getting ready to do jury selection, but there's a lot of little loose ends we've got to handle. I'll let you all know what else we need to do after the break, after we go over, while we go over the Reasonable Doubt season 3, episode 4, entitled Friend or Foe. I'll be back. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and do celebrity legal news. Also, join me for my pop culture chats. If you'd like to support the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe. My Venmo and Cash App is below. Thank you so much, and let's get started. Y'all. We are getting ready to jury selection because, baby, the trial is upon us. The trial is upon us. Ozzy looks nervous as hell, and as he should be. But before I continue, let's do a little housekeeping. Please hit that like button. And if you like what you see, to subscribe. You'll be open to a plethora of videos that I have done on celebrity legal news, movie reviews, pop culture chats, and a whole bunch of other things. All right. Please support the channel. I really do appreciate it. But hit that like button. All right. Let's get into this episode of Friend or Foe. You see, I got my notes. We are getting ready to get in it. So this episode wasn't as extensive. So we're just going to basically go in order. I may not go in as much detail because, again, this episode wasn't as extensive, but there was some nuggets that we were able to pull off. So Jax and Daniel went by Ozzy's house very early in the morning, and the sister Kristen opened the door. And they wanted to know or get a handle on Ozzy's drug problem. And they were trying to figure out, how is it that this man has been sober for 2 years? But then the day that Wendy goes missing, he starts back drugs again. Interesting question, because, again, I asked the question because not only because Wendy left, because Ozzy's mother told him something about Wendy that Ozzy felt so strongly about that he wanted her to sign the NDA, and they ended up kind of breaking up. Whatever that was, we still haven't figured that out. But I think that, coupled with possibly Wendy not denying it, I think that has caused some issues as well. So I am quite curious to know what that was, but we will continue. Kristen is kind of him-hawing. She admits that after 2 years, Ozzy asked her for some drugs and that she got him the drugs. She mentioned, she gave him the name as Byron, a drug dealer who had been providing him drugs. I get the sneaky suspicion that she knows who gave him the drugs and she knows who he was with that night. But she's kind of getting them off, pretty much getting them off of her. But I think she knows. I really and truly think she knows, but she's not wanting to say. And again, this is the Edwards clan, always keeping secrets, always keeping things so close to their vest when things really and truly would be in their best interest to say what they need to say, particularly with Ozzy going to court. All right. And so she swears that she didn't give Ozzy the drugs the night he was killed, but I think she knows who did. And so, again, we're getting ready to start jury selection. So, creepy Bill, we find out that he is stalking his ex-wife. He came and he gave her hot flowers and wished her a happy anniversary, which wasn't that day. It was actually the day prior. But we find out some new information. We find out that the wife was the one that called for the separation. She put him out. And it appears because Bill was a workaholic and he thinks that his time is more important than hers. And she talks about the struggle that she has to have. She felt like he was saying that you're single right now by choice. She said, no, I was single while I was married to you. So it appears that she was working, he was working, odd hours. And then when she would call for him to come and help, he wouldn't do that. And so I guess she figured, shoot, if I'm going to be doing bad by myself and I'm married, I might as well just do bad by myself. And I think that the separation blindsided Bill, because again, he possibly wasn't paying attention to the cues. But it just feels like he wasn't helping Kendra raise the kids, and they were having more kids, and she was just wanting to get a stop on that, and she possibly felt alone. Now, here's a question that I have. I wrote, do we think that Bill is trying to repair his manager so it looks good for him to make partner? Because again, it's something about Bill that, like, when he gets angry, it stops right here at his throat. And then he just like kind of tamps it down and he says little things. Bill still gives me creepy, but you know, I'm starting to understand a little bit more of this creepiness. So you remember Lewis hired Sam, and his new hire is just messing up at the job. He's putting in the wrong codes. It's not working right. They can't seem to get the system to work well. Get their games to work well, and the people who are paying for these games, their clients, are not pleased. So Lewis calls him back in. It's like, what's going on and what's up? So Sam comes in and says, well, I lied when I said that I knew C++. I was on C Suite and this other thing, but I didn't know anything about the C++. And Lewis said, well, our whole system runs by C++. There's no way that you can get around it. And he was like, man. And then before Lewis says anything, Sam plays that brother man, we brother man, and we supposed to look out for each other, which is true. But if you effing up, you effing up. And your F ups could cause for Lewis to lose his job. So he starts talking about how he has a buddy teaching him how to do C++ and all this other stuff. So Lewis was like, all right, I'm going to try to give you an opportunity. He says, but you're going to have to learn C++. You're not going to be able to put that type of coding in here. It's not going to work. And that's going to be harmful to us. And he was like, well, you're going to go and get some training from your friend, but I can't pay you for that. And you're going to have to work these weekends or whatever it is to get this stuff caught up, because ain't nobody finna pay you for your F-ups. And, Sam's like, yeah, thank you, because, us black men got to look out for each other. We don't get these kind of chances often, and we need to be in the room, that yada, 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 yada. Jax and Daniel are still trying to figure out who the drug dealer is. Find that drug dealer that with Byron, who was given the name given by Kristen, and they struggle to find that. They start strategizing the case. I think it was Jax, her secretary, Bill, and Daniel. They were trying to strategize what was going on, and then Jax got the idea to go get Susan from accounting. Now, Susan from the accounting looks like your regular, schnegular American, And so they started talking to her about the case. They started mentioning about being the drugs. They started talking to her about the drug, Ozzy being a drug addict. Susan was like, they're doing all these wild things and taking all these drugs. And then she talked about, well, what if I told, Jax asked her, well, what if I told you he had been sexually abused? Well, that changes anything. And he said, what if I told you he was taking the drugs because of the sexual abuse? And then there was a level of empathy. So they strategized the case, and they realized that the best way that they can be able to pull that jury is to get the old religious ladies on the jury, because they have empathy. They will have a level of empathy and look at somebody else being the cause of whatever happened, and that somebody else may have a motive. Jax and Lewis, she goes home that night. Her and Lewis do the do, because they're waiting for Naima to come home. Naima comes home. She gives him the cold shoulder. Baby, that baby girl shut that door in their face, and she locked it. Girl. What you do that for? Jack say, if you don't open up this door every second that door stay closed is an extra day that you will be on doggone suspension. Baby. She opened that door and she told them that, she was upset because she gave her dad an opportunity to answer about being Jaden's father, and he didn't do anything. And she finds out that that actually is true because she shows the little jersey, the Philadelphia jersey. And then I'm thinking, see, what's her name is a little unhinged, Tony, because I'm finding out that Hattie, who is Naima's best friend, is Tony's daughter. And they're still letting her go over there with all of this stuff going on. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. So they're upset. So they have to sit down with her and Spencer and go over some of the stuff. They're still mad because Naima's real hurt. And I think it's mostly that they've lost a little brother and they didn't have an opportunity to grieve because they didn't know nothing about it. And Naima asked them, do they feel good about just always screwing up their family? Let's see. But she mad. So Jax and Bill go over the SA strategy with Ozzy, and Jax empathizes with Ozzy, and she tells him that you need to tell your parents about the abuse as well. Let's see. Ozzy tells his parents. They are empathetic, but they were trying to figure out who it was. But Ozzy let out a bombshell when he said she. Baby, who is she? Who is she? She's the SA'er. And let me just go over real quick right here the thing that I had when I heard that. In our society, we seem to when the SA is from an adult male to a child female, we have a lot of ire. We hold them accountable for the stuff that they're doing. And we want to make sure that they are not only held accountable, but justice is served. But when it comes from an adult female who is abusing a child male, somehow this society has warped that into a rite of passage, which it is not. And because the society has warped this into some sort of rite of passage, when these adult females are held accountable, it's almost with like kid gloves. And you see this in the legal system because these women who abuse children, male children, they seem to get very light sentences. And what I will say to all of us is we see the destruction in that. And what I mean by that is, even when you look at Ozzy is as a male child, as a female child, they're having similar ways of responding, being very secretive, being overly sexualized, using drugs and alcohol to numb and dumb the pain, and may or may not less be physical pain, but there's a lot of emotional pain going on as well. Because you're not understanding, it's not jiving up what people tell you how children are supposed to interact with adults. But these children have had these interactions. And I am so curious because we're going to learn at the end of this episode who she was. Let me see. So let's get back up. We got like a couple of more things. There was a girls' night out. We find out that Amber, Dr. Owens, is pregnant. We also find out, Sally is still having sexual relations with her estranged husband, and she called it the angry sex. And Jax just tried to let her know, listen, you can't continue to live like that. Either y'all are going to be married or you're not. But he shouldn't be able to just he shouldn't be able to push his anger out in your cooch. Even though, according to Sally, she never know that it would be like that. Sally and Jax kind of come to head. They don't tell the others. But again, we find out that Amber is pregnant. Lewis decides to talk to Jax about Sam, and Jax relays a couple of a good lesson for him. She reminds Lewis that, you can climb the ladder, and she says you can pull people up, but she says if you pull a person up on that ladder and they're not ready, both of you all will have to fall back down that ladder. So she puts a little bug in Lewis's ear. Again, Sam comes into the office. He calls Sam into the office because Sam is not, again, performing like he needs to. And he tells him he needs to fix it. And if he doesn't, he's going to write him up. And Sam is like, oh, okay, I see how that is. And Lewis is like, listen, he's not doing what he needs to do. I'm finna write him up because I'm not about to lose my job fooling around with him. And I told you all that Ozzy tells his parents about the abuse. They start going over jury selection. And you see the strategy that the prosecution is doing, that they're trying to get rid of all the black male jurists on the jury. And Jazz she's not really showing her hand at first, but she is asking questions about drug abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse. She's asking all of these questions and how they feel, have empathy. And so they come up with a good jury that is acceptable to the both of them. But the jury is not acceptable to the prosecution because he didn't realize to the last bit what her strategy was. And so he's a little pissed off about that. So at the end of the night, we see, let me make sure. Oh, let's get into this real quick. So Naima and Spencer are hanging out with Mama Lou, and Eddie shows up. Eddie shows up and he starts talking to them about who he is and what happened. And Spencer has some good questions for him. They started talking about what happened between their parents and Tony and all that other stuff. They said that he wouldn't understand. He started dropping money on him, talking about, you let me know what's going on, and if I don't understand, then y'all have to give me back this money. Baby Mama Lou is looking a little crazy because again, Eddie is just showing up. Eddie is bulldozing his way into the family and not honoring the wishes of Jax and Lewis. And I did talk about the owner wanted to get rid of Sam because he was effing up. Sam pulled on to because of the fact that, and I didn't mention this earlier, the owner of Lewis's company wants to get rid of Sam because he was under a 6 months non-compete clause with his last employer, EXP. He was only away from them 6 weeks before he got that job. And so they were getting ready to get rid of him in regards to that. But then Sam brings up the fact that Lewis wanted him to do unpaid work and all this other stuff, which is an HR no-no. And so Lewis kind of saw, okay, the writing is on the wall. Sam has played me for a fool to keep this job, and he's going to use this brother man, and use up all the stuff that we have talked about so that he can keep this job. So the next time when Sam messed up, he told him, listen, you're not doing your work correctly. I've got it documented that you're not doing your work correctly. Unless you get this right, by the end of the day, we're going to have to write you up. So I don't know if he got his stuff together. Daniel and Christian were hanging out and expressing their feelings for each other, sort of. She went and put her head on his arm. Ozzy comes in and he sees that and he asks Daniel to leave. He said he doesn't need a babysitter and he's going to talk to Jax about it. Meanwhile, in between, before he leaves, Christian lets loose that Ozzy kept journals from his time when he was on my cousin and them. And so it rings in Daniel's head. Oh, I need to let the legal team know. And then we have old sus Dr. Gardner. And I don't understand, and I don't know why he is so suspect to me. Something about him is suspect. But anyway, he prescribes medical grade cannabis for him and tell him it's going to help with his stress and anxiety. And he continues to tell Ozzy to get some rest. Daniel comes back the next morning because he knows that Ozzy is gone. He asked Kristen, was she near Ozzy's home. She says no, she's at her house. He asked her, I need to really get into the home. Can you let me in? And she's like, well, he has a key under a rock. He goes in, and Daniel goes and gets those journals. Baby, they read them journals. And guess who is the she? Oh, Miss Monica over here. Monica is the she. Monica, nasty heifer. Monica has been abusing this boy since he was 13 years old. She's been his manager since she was 13 years old. Nasty buzzard. So we find out, and then towards the end of the show, let me make sure I got everything. They get the thing. Oh, I don't want to forget this. The kids tell Jax and Lewis that they met their grandfather, and that their grandfather understood, because their demeanor is different. That their grandfather kind of talked to them and helped them see, have a better understanding about what's going on. Now, Jax is happy because of the fact that, the kids aren't mad at them anymore. But Lewis don't like that. Lewis has that. Lewis wants boundaries. And Lewis needs to control what he can't control. And baby, he is hot. He goes to Eddie's job, and I guess he thought he was going to tell Eddie what he was going to do and how he was going to do it and when he was going to do it. Child, Eddie sunned him so bad. Eddie told him, listen, let me remind you, you're the one that let a convent bend my daughter over. And then when you couldn't get over or get through that, you messed around and F the PTA mom. Baby, you talking about Lewis is hot and embarrassed because it's all coming back. It's all coming back to him. And I don't know exactly what Lewis is going to do in regards to that. But Lewis, he always tries to find a way to kind of control or do something in his anger, in an effort to help. And it always backfires. One thing about this show for Lewis, I really wish Lewis has a little group that he can bounce something on, because I just feel like Lewis is just out here on his own trying to figure things out, and I don't see a good friend group for him, because Jax has a friend group. Lewis don't have. They're not showing us that Lewis has a friend group, so he's not having people to bounce things off of to give him some perspective at this point. Baby. We find out a couple of things, because at the end, oh, nasty heifer right here. This one right here. Can't get my finger back in the thing, but that one right there, that little nasty heifer right there. We find out that she had some animosity for Wendy, because Wendy was becoming very prominent in Ozzy's life. And we understand that she had a meeting or met up with Wendy on the night that of Wendy's demise. So what was that about? Or she was there with Ozzy during that time. It's one of those things. I couldn't catch it real good, but that is the show, y'all. That is today's show. What do you all think? And you know what time it is. What y'all think? Like I said, this show, it had a lot of, we find out some little stuff. The biggest thing that we find out was about this old nasty heifer over here, that she was essaying Ozzy, and she continues to do so. And she may not be able to have as much access to him now that he's an adult, but she continues to want to have access to him. So let's bring this to the stage. And, this is our Q&A to ourselves to try to figure out via the next episode what's going on. And we have entitled this thing, Ozzy, what you hiding? So now we've got some questions that were answered from episode 1. Now, the questions that we had was, who's Jax crying over when it initially happened? Because, we always have to, this show always makes us work from back in time until this particular point. We still haven't figured out or have an inkling of who this could be. So why is Bill creepy? We answered that. It's his creepiness is coming from him being so calculated and him trying to get back with his wife. Now, is he trying to get back with his wife because he actually wants to get back with his wife, or is he trying to get back with his wife because it's going to make him look good and then increase his chances of being a partner? Interesting, interesting, interesting. And so the other two questions we've answered, had those questions. We talked about those last episode. We still haven't answered what did Ozzy's mom tell him about Wendy that made him change his mind about signing the NDA? We still don't have an answer to that. Let's continue. From episode 2,000,001 questions, we asked why are the partners using Bill to spy on Jax? We still haven't figured that out yet from any of these 4 episodes. Again, why is Ozzy so despondent, not following Jax's recommendations? And excuse me, why is Ozzy refusing to tell Jax information? Like, we talked about the air tags, and then we talk about the drugs and everything like that. And again, that is all signs showing that he has had a level of abuse. See, he's used to keeping secrets, and then we find out that he has been SA'd. So that comes in line with why he's telling secrets and why he seems very adamant about keeping these secrets and why he seems a little fearful about keeping these secrets. We now find out which area of the house was Wendy's phone found in, and FAFO for Ozzy. We still haven't figured that out yet, and we might only find that out during the trial. What's Corey's role, and why does Ozzy call him instead of Jax? There was no clues to that on this episode, nor the episode 3. We just don't know that information as a thing. And why is Jax's father back? Hadn't figured all that information out yet as well. So we've got some questions answered from the last episode, episode 3, Run This House. So how are Jax and Lewis going to tell the children about Jaden? They're not. Naomi find out via Hattie. Hattie told her everything she needed to know, and they had to make up. They were scrambling, child. Why is Mama Lou trying so hard to get Jax connected with her father? We don't know that yet. Why are the Edwards keeping secrets? The Ozzy's drug problem? We don't know yet, but we still know that they're keeping secrets, and we're finding out that secrets have been kept from them. Why does Dr. Gardner seem suspicious? I don't know. He still seems suspicious. He seems he's sus. He kind of creeps out of the bedroom and all this other stuff. Didn't even know he was there at the time. It's something about him is suspect to me. And if it's not, the way they have that character skulking around is a little sus to me. Is Kristen the drug mule for Ozzy? Where did she get the Narcan? So we find out that Kristen was instrumental of getting the drugs, and I'm gonna make sure I put this in because I did answer this. She was not necessarily his drug mule to say, but she gave him drugs this particular time because she felt like with so much fentanyl, she went to a source that she trusted. So she probably got the Narcan from that choice, or she possibly, I'm making it say she may have gotten the Narcan from Dr. Gardner. So is Dr. Gardner her trusted source? And that just came to me. Let's continue. Why does Bill want to make partners so badly? Possibly that that he thinks he'll get his wife back. Why is Alex refusing to be Ozzy's alibi? We don't know yet. He wasn't in this episode for us to find out. Who SA'd Ozzy? And what was the onset of the incident? Baby, it was old nasty butt Monica, his agent. So we got some new questions out of Friends and Foe, along with the other questions. So that is 3 episodes. So I'm going to consolidate all the questions that have not been answered from episode 1 through 4, consolidate it into one slide for the next slide. And all the questions that were answered, I'm going to consolidate it into a whole nother slide. And then we'll go into 4, 5, we'll go into 5, 6, 7, and 8. I think it's going to be 8 episodes this time. Is Monica still manipulating Ozzy? Will Kristen continue her relationship with Daniel? And how will this relationship affect the case going forward? Will Bill get his family back or another chance with Kendra? What will Lewis do now that he's been sunned by Eddie? Because Eddie's completely sunned him. Is Lewis' job in jeopardy after Sam? And Mama Lou is manipulating once again and not disclosing. That's just a statement that I just needed to put in there. All right, people. That's all we got. We're going to get into this next episode. We're going into episode 5. I'm going to go watch that now. And then I'm going to probably do episode 6 tomorrow. Episode 7 for Thursday. And then I think that we'll be caught up. I think episode 7 is the new episode. So I'll be caught up on this. So episode 7, I'll be caught up with everything. So we're doing pretty good. We're doing good. We are trucking along. And I'm glad that you all are trucking along with me. All right, people. Because it's getting much better now. Because we're getting ready to go into trial. And a lot of things get revealed in trial that we just don't see just for them setting up everything that's going to go on until we get to trial. All right, people, we do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Y'all, please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye. Oh, nasty heifer.